G'day ladies and gents, and welcome back to War Thunder. Today, we're going to have a look at a bit of a long video here. We're going to have a look at a certain lineup, I suppose, rather than just a single vehicle. Now, obviously, I'm going to take out the mouse first because I'm fully down-tiered. And a fully down-tiered mouse on a small map is extremely strong, but we're going to run my sort of thought processes through the entire map and sort of how the match pans out and what I'm thinking, rather than, I guess, talking about a single vehicle. Because at the end of the day, War Thunder is about lineups rather than a single vehicle, especially when it comes to tank RB. Now, the mouse seems to be one of those tanks that is rather unique and niche. It is the heaviest tank in the game by quite a long shot. I don't think anything quite rivals it, apart from, I think, the E100, which comes in at 100 tons, and then you have the mouse at 188 tons. So nothing quite comes as close to the mouse in terms of its weight. And with weight comes a lot of armor, but it also hampers the speed. So the mouse is really, really bad for long-range maps. And since long-range maps are more and more common at high tier, you don't tend to see them. And that's kind of why the mouse tends to drop off a cliff. If it's on a small map like this, or Ash River, or something else, then it tends to exceed. But as soon as you pair it up with a Leopard, you need that extra space to go and flank and do Leopard things. But if you are put on a small map, then you really have a chance to just excel and just do wonderful things. The mouse really has good capabilities on a small map like this, especially in a full down tier. And the more I get 7-7 games, the more I enjoy the mouse as a vehicle, regardless of how much heat FS I end up facing. The mouse still ends up being enjoyable, because it just has that survivability even against heat FS. Unless, of course, you get shot in the ammo rack, which at that point is kind of fair game. But what I'm doing here is I'm running through the map, and you can see that I'm engaging what I think at the time is an M47. Now, the M47 can and will shoot me in the turret and penetrate the turret cheeks, but if I manage to angle the hull, and if I keep a decent distance, I'll be able to sort of survive it, as well as, of course, sitting behind the fence. If that fence breaks down and the M47 pushes through, all I have to do is turn the turret, and that'll basically angle the armor enough to get me basically a block, or block the shot. Obviously, I'm reversing whenever I take the shot, and that's because the mouse has a really long reload. And I'm also checking my surroundings, which is very, very lucky I did that, because there's an AMX-30 behind me. Now, I push into cover, and then I reverse out to try and get this AMX-30, and I managed to get a shot with the 128, but I only damage some parts of the tank. Now, I go to shoot him with the 75, but that gets a little bit stolen. But you know what, that's okay. I'm okay with that, because that means that I'm alive and I don't have to waste yet another shot. You can see the M47, or what I think is the M47, is sort of peeking around behind that hill. Turns out to be an M46, but that's just as deadly, to be honest. Never engage a mouse at long range in the open. Always try and ambush like that AMX-30. That's probably the smarter play, and now you can see that I am very, very wary of what is, over on that side of the map, especially being attacked once. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait either for this guy to push up, or I'm going to shoot him in the back of the turret, and that's exactly what I do. He gives me his ammo rack, and I shoot him in the back of the turret. Now, here's where it gets interesting. That is a T-29. Now, the T-29 is a very strong tank, but if I can angle my armor just enough, and because the mouse is a giant box, I can angle everything. I can angle the hull, and I can angle the turret. I angle so, bounce the shot, and when my 128 reloads, I just pop him in the front plate. And there's literally nothing he can do. It's the easiest one shot of my life. And that's a heavy tank. That is worth 150 spawn points. It's big. That's a valuable target that I've taken out. Especially against King Tigers, because the King Tiger and the T-29 are rivals as such. I personally think they're close to equal. Very close to equal. But some people will argue otherwise, and that's okay. Everyone has an opinion, and everyone has a right to an opinion. And, I can sort of understand where you come from. Now, one of the things that I can't fight as well is the Doom Turtle. And the Doom Turtle has the most armor frontally, tier for tier, that I can think of, especially at this battle rating level. And since I don't have smoke, what I should have done is I should have smoked the T95 so that he couldn't move. Now, the King Tiger 105 does that for me because he's repairing. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and push up to that King Tiger so I can give him some assistance, because chances are something is going to push through that smoke, and the last thing that someone who pushes through the smoke is going to want to see is a mouse staring straight at them with a 128mm gun. That is an absolute death sentence for anyone, but I need to get rid of this Doom Turtle. This Doom Turtle is going to be the bane of me because he just has so much ability. He can do the same damage as the T29, and I can't penetrate him. So arguably, the Doom Turtle is a harder target than the T29. So what I have to do is I have to be super careful of where I aim, and I'm trying to take out the tracks. I'm trying to immobilize him, and then I see what I think is a T34-100, but is in fact T34-85. So I end up taking precautions over the T34 because I think it has a 100mm gun, but in fact it doesn't, and the Doom Turtle is the only thing that I really should be taking care of. Now, I'm going to try and angle myself the other way to get a little bit closer to the King Tiger 105, and you can see I'm doing that right now. I don't have to angle the hull as much, but I do have to angle the turret, and that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm angling the turret against the T95, and that should prevent the T95 from taking me out. The only place that I'm vulnerable to at the moment is either directly ahead or where that King Tiger is blocking, and you'll never guess what happens. Just as I get within the range, I see something within the smoke that is definitely not... Well, I hear something in the smoke that is definitely not the T-34, and a T-29 comes and takes out the King Tiger, which is a bit sad, but that's okay because all I have to do is put one through the upper front plate. The mouse is extremely competent in a down tier. It's so good, but if you end up getting an up tier, it does really, really suffer. And you can see here is where I make my critical error. I take way too long to aim the gun, and I end up starting to bring the gun back, and I think I bounce a couple more shots, but you can see that I'm now in a situation where I'm immobilized, I'm starting to struggle, I have no cover, I have no friendlies near me, and the more I advance, the more I push into enemy territory, which leaves me vulnerable to flanking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the smart thing and pull back. I've pushed up way too far, and my helper's died, and the T-95 waits for the perfect shot, takes out my gunner, takes me straight down to 2 crew. I'm getting pretty desperate here. I need to find a way out, and I really don't think I am. This is pretty dangerous for the entire match, because I'm leaving the entire flank open. Now, it might seem like not a big deal, but you look at one side of the map and there's just me and one other guy. Other than that, the entire team on the south side is liable to being flanked, and I get taken out by the T-95. I end up losing, basically, half the map. So I need to find a way to take that back. And the best way to take that back is from the air. So the Arado is my next spawn, and I'm taking the 3 500-pound bombs, or kilo bombs rather. Those big bombs work for me. I manage to get them on target 90% of the time, and most of the time, the Doom Turtle will not stand a chance against a bomb. Now, I don't want to be that guy that revenge bombs, but I need to clear that section of the map immediately, because then, as soon as I get that, the T-95 is sort of the linchpin there. If you can't break through the T-95, then how are you going to break through the T-34? How are you going to break through, further patterns? How are you going to break through, T-29s, Pershings, stuff like that is going to end up following the T-95 into battle. So what I'm going to do is drop, and hopefully I'll kill the T-95. And there it goes. I drop a little bit too late to kill the T-34-85, but that's going to be next on the list, because at this tier, the T-34-85 will be facing the Leos, and the Leos have a bouncier gun and a less reliable gun against other tanks in general, and the T-34 is going to be my next target. As soon as I make sure that bomb lands, straight back to base. straight back to base, no questions asked. I'm out of ammo, I don't have any ammo, I have bombs, and I'm out of bombs, and so I better go back to base. Now, I'm going to cut forward here. I do get attacked by the F-84 who's come back from the T-95. And I'm about to be strafed again. This seems to be a recurring problem in ground forces, but it's okay because I have enough spawn points, I guess. It's not really fun. It's not really great. It's pretty shonky, to be honest. And I don't recommend anyone does this. But strafing airfields is not cool in ground RB. If they go back to base, just let them go back to base. Keep tabs on them, and you shouldn't have a problem. Now, that 262 is smoking. He is a narwhal, and he's really not going to be that much of a help to me. And that's okay, because he just got the thing I can understand. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get as much speed as possible in order to get back to the battlefield, because I don't know that this second guy is going to come and strafe me. I can sort of hear the AA go off, and I can hear some other stuff in the background. But I don't really think he's coming for me as such until I look around and see a bit of tracer fire. And there he is. So what I do is I ditch the bomb, and I ditch another bomb shortly afterwards, and I get a critical hit with the bomb. There you go. Sucked in. The 262 tries to chase him down, because why not? He's flying to the ground. Someone's got to secure that kill somehow, of course. But jokes aside, the kill is mine, and I get yet another air kill to the tally. I quite like doing this in the Arado because it's hilarious. I love getting bomb kills. And you got to be careful with Arados because that is the ace up their sleeve. Now, for my next spawn, I can see that on the ground, we're not looking so good. We're losing control of the map, and overall, I need to make sure that this flank is also secured once more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hop back into the Leopard 1, and the Leopard 1 is actually quite a comfortable MBT. It does have a steep learning curve, and it is difficult to get used to, but once you are used to the Leopard 1, it is a very, very good machine, and I have done a video on it. The more 7.7s you get, the better this tank becomes. And I'm going to skip forward a little bit because nothing quite interesting happens until I push over this hill here. Stalingrad has a lot of factories, and in these factories are the deadly AMX-13, and then, yuck, no, begone, demon. The AMX-13 managed to kill, I believe it was a Panther, which, isn't terribly valuable at 7.7, but it is still another body. And you can see exactly what happens when you lose a flank on the minimap. The south is completely overrun, and as I thought, it's probably because some of the team just could not hold the flank coming from our north side, which is what I was trying to defend. I'm trying to push around. I'm trying to see maybe I can help retake this cap. I don't want to sit in the cap because I'm a Leopard, and I'd be better off on the outskirts of the battlefield doing sort of flanking stuff. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to look for targets. I can see, I think it was a Type 59 or a T-54, something like that. There's nothing really in their spawn. It gets shut down. And so I quickly look. I try and bait out the shot. It is an IS-6. So I take the shot, and I think he does the same. I know I can beat his reload, so I'm going to push ahead. I should have loaded Hesh here, and I go for the breach. And it's orange. That's so disappointing. Guardian, please. But the Type 60 ATM, much to his credit, finishes that one off for me. I believe that's the same guy who was in the SPH earlier that saved me from the AMX-30. But regardless, it's good to have a teammate that has your back. So yeah, I'm able to push up. And the way I'm pushing up is basically so that I can call out to my team by using minimap commands the factory, and I can also deny physically with my cannon, with the L7, any pushes that come from the open area there that is off to the south. And that's something that I find extremely useful. You've got to take up a sort of semi-forward position in the Leopard 1, and that's where you excel. Now, I don't know how this guy managed to get past me, and I don't know how he didn't see me, but there's an SU-100P, and that has the 100mm gun. That particular gun is extremely dangerous. It's so deadly. I try and get a cheeky third-person shot, and this is where the SU-100 probably could have pushed me and killed me, but decides not to, and that's probably wise, because I've already reloaded a Hesh shell, and this is what I use Hesh for. I use it for peeking ridgelines, I use it for getting cheeky shots, and it's just the best situation for it. What's even better is that he's an open-topped vehicle, and I am an MBT, so I get the artillery modification. I'm going to use artillery and try and take this guy out, or at least force him into the open, where some of my teammates can perhaps get a better shot onto him. And as I expected, he gets hull broken by the artillery. Not surprised, but I am glad that that is the case. Now, I can't really rest on my laurels for long. I need to keep this cap, and I need to get this cap secured for my team. Not obviously by me, but I need to make sure the Type 60 or whoever else is in that cap at the time is securing that stuff. I believe it's Panther 2. Now, the Panther 2 is a good tank, and it does manage to take out the T-92, but what I want to really try and do is make sure that nothing gets in through the factories, basically, and is able to pick these ridges, and that's exactly what is going to be happening here. A couple of tanks are going to push, and I can see there that's a Vickers MBT, and it's going to be followed by, I believe, an M46. I'm not going to really get through this engagement with anything left. My breach immediately gets taken out, my gunner is immediately killed, and I believe the Vickers shoots out my commander, so I'm down to 2 crew. I'm getting desperate. I'm going to try and use that mobility to get away, and I believe I get stuck on one of the, I get stuck on the train cart there, which leaves me in a bit of a sore position. I haven't got anywhere to retreat, I've used up all my smoke, and the AMX-30 is going to push through, and he's going to take me out eventually. There's nothing I can do. I can try and ping, but there's no one on the team left. Sometimes you win some, and sometimes you lose, and I'm worried that this is going to be one of the matches that I lose. I don't want to lose. I just don't like losing. I'd much prefer to win if that's at all possible, as you would do. So what I'm going to do now is jump into the Horton, because the RU-251 is probably not going to be my best option. It is fast, it is good, but I need to be able to do as much damage as possible to the people that are taking the cap. And if I can sort of wither down the enemy, maybe, just maybe I can get that victory somehow. Now, one of the things that I'm going to try and do in the Horton, because this thing got nerfed a lot. I don't think I should be taking out the Horton anymore. Maybe I should take out the 335, or perhaps I should be taking out the Narwhal instead. But for now, the Horton seems to be in a really, really bad state for ground attack. It's a really good fighter. It's one of my favorite planes, because it's just so good if you know how to use it. But I'm trying to look for stuff, and doesn't matter whether or not I do good work in it, it's probably not going to be very rewarding. You can't really get that many kills, and whilst it is a finicky plane, once you get used to it, you'll get air kills. There's no doubt about that. But will you get the tank kills? And that is where the ground battle needs to be won. On the ground, obviously. You need to take out the tanks. You need to take out the SPAA. You need to defend from CAS, and the Horton is sort of only relegated to that third role just because it's pretty much been nerfed to the ground. I guess it was a bomber hunter, and there you can see the team list. There we go, just 2 of us left. It's not looking great, but I really wanted to win this, and it's a real shame. I think I'm going to title this video something like you can't win them all, or perhaps something to do with the mouse, because this is probably one of the better games that I've had in the mouse in a long, long time, and it will be, good for people to see. That's a ZSU-57. I kill his driver. And only his driver. Oh boy. Oh boy. It's not going to end well, is it? It's just not going to end well. I'm going to try and get as many shots as I can on target. I've managed to breach that tank there. I believe it I can't quite tell what it is. I think it's an STA or an STA or a Type 61. I'm just trying to do a little bit of damage here and there, and an M48 ends up taking out the Panther 2. It's starting to look pretty dire, and it's starting to look pretty desperate, and I just wanted to win this game. But unfortunately, I don't think it's going to end up this way. And I really wanted it to, I guess, but, some you win, and some you lose. I'm going to go for a couple more strafes, and I'm going to try and get this ZSU-57, and I'm aiming a little bit too high here. I've got to aim a little bit lower, and I managed to take out, I believe that's a loader or a gunner. So it's not looking great. I should have been able to strafe this guy like 3 or 4 times over, but it's just not going my way. I don't think the Horton is that great at air to ground anymore. It used to be fantastic. It used to be the go-to for 7.0 when it was 7.0. It's now 7.3, but still, it's just been completely neutered. I wish it was a little bit better at ground attack. I wish it had its old HVAP belts back, because we have got the AA capability now. We have the Falcon, we have the Saddam 25, we have the M163 VADS. We have heaps of things that can come and counter the Horton, and it sits at 7.3. So basically anything at 7.0 to 8.3, you will see it. And obviously I like bringing this thing up into higher battle ratings, up to 8.3. So I guess all the way up to 9.3. It has counters. Now, I believe that is a duster that is taking out my engine. And I was quite surprised. Or maybe not a duster, maybe something else. But regardless, I'm starting to get desperate. They're capping my zone, and I want to be able to take as much as I can out. So I'm just going to suicide into this guy, maybe take him out, maybe try. Eventually, I'm just going to get more and more desperate. I'm not actively trying to save the plane. I'm trying to just get as much damage as I possibly can and then just die. Because there's a Hanomag Henschel Alp, of a friendly one. And maybe I can support him in the air. But, maybe I can just do that little bit more damage. Maybe I can just do a little bit more stuff. It becomes more and more desperate as time goes on. And you really just can't win them all. I'm trying so hard. And I'm trying to carry my team. And I made a video on this a little while ago. I think people that carry their team like this, obviously it's not going to be me all the time because I'm not that amazing. I'm really not that great at anything, to be honest. But people that do, and people that are constantly in first place, or people that are in first place on a losing team, in my opinion, to help their grind, they should get more RP. So for example, if you come first, you should get the same RP that you would if you had won. And then maybe a reduction by 20% for, I guess, the second place, and a reduction by 30% for the guy who came third. And then afterwards, just your regular loss RP. Because the first top four guys, are probably the ones that carried the team the most. That did the most work, capped the most zones, got the most kills, did the most spotting. These are the important things that are sort of unrewarded when you lose. And I think they shouldn't be left to die, I suppose. I'd really like to see that, and I think it would be kind of cool. And it's not just because I'm sick of losing, carrying teams, blah blah. Honestly, for me, I don't have to grind because I'm a part of the content partner program. I get stuff from Gaijin, so I don't need it. It's for the other people who do and who are really good and keep doing well on losing teams. I'd much rather these people get some RP and get some compensation, I guess, or a bit of just something to say, you know what, you tried, you could have done a little bit better, but, you didn't. And maybe that's partially due to your team, maybe that's partially due to you, but here, have a little bit more RP just to, soften the loss. And I think that's something that should be done. I'm basically lost here. There's nothing left for me to do. The team has basically died. They've capped all the zones. And it's pretty much GG. There we go. They've capped my team's zone, and we're just out of vehicles. So unfortunately, me with 10 kills and 1 air kill, and the guy who came first had something like 12 or 14 kills. And he would have just got the same RP as if he had won. I think that should have been the case. He should have gotten that RP, and I'd love to see that happen, Gaijin. Please, please make it happen. But you win some, and you lose some. Anyway, ladies and gents, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the mouse gameplay. Take care, and I'll catch you next time.